Hey everyone, Greg here. As you may know by now, I'm the co-founder and CEO of TripShock, an online reseller for water sports and tours. For the past 12 years, we've had the pleasure of working with hundreds of operators across the country, and we're looking to grow our community. It's free to sign up, and you only pay when we bring you confirmed bookings. We'll help you reach new customers, fill empty seats, and grow your business like so many have done with us over the years. Head over to partners.tripshock.com to learn more about our program, read testimonials, or speak directly with our supply team. As always, thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
These people, because I called them because they went like on a campaign. They were just like, you know, they're on their way home back to Texas, you know, DJ Castro. Like, dude, I got like, man. And remember, folks, everything is like, you can be found. Just remember that. So when you go and put somebody on blast, like, I might wait a year, but I'm going to find you. I'm going to find where you work, and I'm going to leave you a bad review. Like, you know what I mean? Turnabout is fair play, my friend. I got a list. I got like Steve Buscemi where he puts on the lipstick and Adam Sandler. I'm glad Billy Madison. He shoots a guy. Man, I'm glad I called that guy. I'm Steve Buscemi with the list with your fucking name on it. I don't forget. Like, I remember.
They come to relax, enjoy the beach, have fun, and spend money. And that's where we come in. This is the Awkward Water Sport Guys podcast. Find out tips on the best ways to market and operate a water sports business. If you're a water sports operator, you need to grow your brand, operate more safely, upgrade your operations, and of course, increase bookings. We're industry veterans, broadcasting from Destin, Florida. This is the Awkward Water Sport Guys podcast. And this is Kevin O'Neill and Greg Fisher.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Awkward Water Sports Guy podcast. I'm your host, Greg Fisher. Got my co-host, Kevin O'Neill.
Rapper.
Have you ever rapped? You were in a band. I mean, did you?
Unfortunately have rapped.
You have?
I have, man. When I was a kid, when I was like 12, I used to call it, because my name's Kevin O'Neill, I was MCKO. True story. And then later on in life, I cut a track with a buddy in Atlanta. Was the last time I did it. And then before that, I was like in a Limp Bizkit band. So you could call it rapping.
Prove it.
It was bad.
You
want me to prove that I can fucking rap?
Right now, yeah.
I'll come across that table, bitch, you get slapped. Oh, damn. I got the freestyle. I like to get wild because I'm from Detroit, 313. You don't know me. Son, what? It was the worst freestyle ever. But I can rap.
That's pretty good.
I can definitely rap. For a white guy.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, Eminem. Oh, is that in vogue? Can I say white guy? I don't even know anymore. For Caucasian. For cracker. Anyway, yeah. So, no, I'm not a rap. I'm a water sport guy. That's the best intro ever. So we're going to get cracking and rapping, as it were, about reviews. So I know Greg's got a sheet of paper in front of him, and he's got his intro set up.
Wait, what did you call my
Greg's trip tips.
Greg's trip tips.
Like they do like just a head and like a star where you like pop into the corner. It's like Greg's trip tips. You're like, hey, it's me, Greg Fisher, CEO of TripShock, and then it's like, oh.
So as Kevin said, we are going to do reputation management today. Review
and reputation management.
This has been actually one we've talked about really wanting to doing for the past few months.
Yep. I'm excited about it.
Because there's so many good stories when it comes
to
it. And so we got a lot to share. But before we start, we're going to do something a little different called, what we learned this week, and just things that Kevin and I might have found either while we were working or maybe a product that we used that worked really good. What did I learn this week? So for anyone that uses Google Ads, which I'm sure a majority of you do, and if you don't, you should be, there's a feature in Google Ads where you can do an advanced bid adjustment. And just to break it down to make it very easily understandable is you might have a lot of different campaigns in your Google Ads account. And when there is a weather event or an extended weather event, like we have the hurricane, or had the hurricane just a couple days ago, maybe we want to reduce bids of your keywords, but you don't want to go to every single keyword or every single campaign and do it. Well, there's a tool called Advanced Bid Adjustment where you can set one bid adjustment for the entire campaign. Let's say you wanted to reduce everything by 50%. Well, you can do it. You can set a date range so it turns off at a certain time. But I thought that was great because we have at TripShock hundreds of campaigns, and it's just a simple way for us to set the bid adjustment and set and forget it and not have to worry about going in and modifying 100 campaigns. So easy to do. Talk to your PPC ad rep or Google advanced bid adjustment online, and you can read more about it. Kevin, what about you?
Yeah. Oh, man. When you start talking about bid adjustments, I want to start talking about bid adjustments, but I'm not going to talk about bid adjustments because you're already hemmed up on that. I am currently reading a book called Breath, and it's How to Breathe. And I learned this week that most people breathe really wrong. And with COVID coming, and I talked to my wife about this, I asked her about this, like mouth breathing versus nose breathing. And I won't get off too sidelined off it, but basically, like, as Americans and westernized modern society, while we consume too much food and consume too much bad stuff, as it were, we also consume too much oxygen. And the relationship, I'm only halfway through the book, so I'm not going to speak as like a master that I know everything about it, but it has to do with the relationship of oxygen versus CO2 that you're taking in and how you fill up your lungs and how it processes that oxygen and that CO2, the carbon dioxide, when you're taking in full breaths and filling your lungs to capacity versus taking in smaller breaths. So it's mostly about like nose breathing and then just learning how to breathe in different ways. And James Nestor is the author, and he's a free diver. You know, he goes down to insane depths without oxygen and free dives well, here, water sport. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, so he goes and free dives or spirit fishes, whatever. And I spirit fish with guys that just sit on the bottom of the water for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Like, it's craziness. Like, and no oxygen or no tank on their back, and they're just underwater. So it's pretty cool.
You know what's cool? You know what's cool about that topic that you chose to read is that I like to read all sorts of books. I don't read just business books. I don't read, just things that deal with work. I read fiction. I read biographies. I read everything. And you know what? It really helps me, relax, not focusing just on business. So that's cool. I mean, I'll share probably some stuff that I read.
I'm like voracious, like in off season. Like my goal this year was 100 books. And I always start off with like this sort of like crazy, ostentatious, insane, unreachable number. Yeah. That's what I always do. So like last January, I got it was like 12. And then the year before that was like 15, like in the month of January and February. Like I don't know if anybody here knows who Ty Lopez is. I love Ty Lopez. Like, ironically, he's a hilarious marketer. Here in my garage, what's better than knowledge, or what's better than college knowledge? Have you ever seen that? The Here in my garage with the Ferrari video. He spent it's astronomical amount. It was for an info course, but basically like the whole like Ferrari marketing, like MLM, multi-level marketing, like BS, whatever. But he's like Warren Buffett reads a book a day. And then then when you get into one of his, I didn't buy the course. I read into it, but like how he talks about how he skims over a book a day. But fun factoid, I am able to read, I can consume a 9 or 10 hour Audible or audiobook, and I start at 1.0 and then I bring it up 1.1, 1.2, 1.3.
So do you typically do audiobooks?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's great. A lot of people think that reading is just
sitting with
hardcover. Get an audiobook, get Audible. It's like,
before anybody shuts off, I just want you to know, like, I'm going to segue this into reading hilarious reviews. So just like the cake is coming, but you got to let me and Greg nerd out about our shit. But I promise you, you don't want to pass this one up because we got some ridiculous reviews. But to go back to that, so yes, I do, because I can multitask. So if I'm running or I'm jogging and I want to get into flow state, like I'll listen to an audiobook. Now I might have to go back to it, but I can consume an insane amount of knowledge, because when you listen to an audiobook, like literally when I'm talking to somebody, like this is the speed at what I'm talking, or conversation, a little bit quicker because I'm not more high energy, but I can also, my brain will also process that speed of listening. So when you first get an audiobook, this is the pace at which they're reading. So I crank it up, like I'll go to like 1.7, like it's almost like, and then like I'll stop and add a note if it's something.
But even
that,
podcast, I always listen podcast at 1.2, 1.5.
Yeah.
And plus,
see?
because
Great minds think alike.
It fits into my commute. going to work. So I can get a whole podcast
That's
in
crazy.
typically. So
We're smart guys.
Yeah, we are. Quite are.
You look like a smart guy. I look like I just got out of fucking rehab or prison. When I moved into my neighborhood, I took off my shirt on my John Deere. I'm like, yeah, sit in, guys. And they're like, no knuckle tattoo, man. You don't rob my house while I'm on vacation. All right. Reviews. Hey, I listen, and I want to tell you, this is why I love reviews, man. And this is why I communicate almost exclusively via disgruntled customer versus email. I don't wear shirts at my location. So my staff knows if somebody's got a complaint to direct it to my email. Because if they pull me like on site, I don't get angry, but I feel like I'm a very logical person. And I can take any side of either debate and argue passionately, regardless of whether I actually have a dog on either side of the fight. So if you give me enough information and enough time to sit and dwell on it and think about it, I'll think about it from a 360-degree viewpoint. And I've always been a good debater, a little feather my own cap. But I go with things like when I'm obviously arguing from my side, I have all these like points that I'm going to make. I already know what their argument's going to be because as a general rule, people kind of complain about the same thing, especially when you start to get into reviews and you see people kind of like saying the same thing, and you can find holes in your game actually if you see that kind of that pattern of the same thing over and over and over again. So all right, well, this is how we can better and rid of this problem with customers. But the problem is if I don't see a problem there and it's something like completely like asinine, like why don't you control the weather, Kevin? I have this like defense mechanism where I laugh. I'll laugh right at them. Like if somebody's like, and I think this is why I should get a refund, I go I don't even like know what to say to that. So I realized how bad that was. I'm like, man, I can't have like customer front facing issues and somebody said something and I just crack up laughing like I have like chortle or whatever, like pulling my shirt over my nose because I find it to be absolutely so ridiculous. So everybody knows, don't point me out. And I just had it was like this lady, she was one of yours too. And boy, oh boy, did I screw that one up, man. But she was like furious. And then I handled it really bad, even via email because they like started attacking me online, had a couple beers. And then I don't do it in the front. I go on the back. I message them directly. I'm like, hey, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like that's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. And then on the front end, I'm like, hi guys, which is how we should always handle it. But regardless, don't do any of that. Don't do any of those things that I do when I am sober and I've had a moment to think about things and calm down. I always have a great response. We always take care of our customers, but there is that part of you that immediately wants to fire back. So I'm sure
actually
somewhere
I would
tip Greg's trip tips.
Greg's trip tips.
That says, do not fire back.
Actually,
don't get emotional.
Let me see. Number 3 in Greg's trip tips is never respond to a review when angry. Allow some time before responding to collect your thoughts. Number 1.
Yeah, maybe like never respond while drinking.
Okay, I'm gonna add on there. No, without
all
drinking.
Right. Perfect segue. So this comes from a bar, actually, because I got a lot of water sports stuff in here, but I wanted to pull from every industry a little bit. So I live in blanked out and really wanted to like this place. 1-star review. But frankly, it smells. Maybe if you sit outside, you can't smell the nastiness, but inside it's gross. It smells like it has been there for 50 years and never been cleaned, but it is a newer place. Some of the staff look cracked out. Looks like something you find a seedy part of town. I will avoid this place in the future. There are plenty of other places in the area that have a better experience. Our owner response. Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for your valuable input. Quick question for you. What made it smell worse? The part we didn't serve you any alcohol, or the part where you harassed a female staff by exposing your chest hair in lieu of showing your ID? Next time you want a Miller Lite, please bring the appropriate ID that is required when you go to a bar, and we'll gladly serve you. I love that one. This is another one. I love it. Terrible service, very condescending. Cakes were dry and unpalatable. Coffee was cold. Do not recommend this place. 1 star. Response from the owner. Hey, gay. That's, I guess, the person's name. We thought you might write a bad review, but when your partner takes a cupcake off the wall, removes the topper, licks it, then places the licked topper back on the wall, we had to ask him to bring his licked topper and now dirty wall case to the front counter so that we could throw it out for him. We like to keep our store clean, and would hate if one of our other customers went to pick up that cupcake case and got a handful of your partner's licked topper. A pretty awkward encounter for everyone involved, really.
But I'll stop you there. Those two responses, they kept it cool.
Absolutely.
They addressed the situation. And honestly, if I was a customer and I was reading these reviews, it would not change my perception of the business, meaning that I would not use that as a negative, whether or not I would want to participate in going out to dinner or whatever activities they might have.
Yeah.
So, that kind of goes to number 2 of Greg's trip tips. Kill them with kindness and address the issue.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Most people are objective by nature. Yeah. Most people are. So that's why sometimes you have to let the process work out instead of being pissed off about the review. Let the process work out. Most people are objective by nature. Kind of put yourself in a customer's shoes of what they would when they're reading this. So I always like, when I respond to reviews is to take some time, because you're not going to write the same response after the review's made than you would a day later.
So that's another one. So when I'm reading reviews, and make no mistake, guys, people are reading these reviews. And if you're any type of an educated customer, like myself, Greg, and probably millions and millions of shoppers out there, they are reading your bad reviews. They're reading your good reviews. They're also reading your responses. So if you just have a sterile, thanks for coming out, boom, you're just trying to cut through it, understand that says something about not just your products, but your company culture, because how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you cut a corner on dealing with an either A, completely pissed off customer and you just ignore it, or B, a raving fan, then you're basically just ignoring your customer base. If somebody comes, hey, Kevin, thanks so much. We had a great time. I was going to fucking slide by him. Yeah, that's right. I know you had a great time.
So talking about ignoring customer base, when do you think is the right time to respond to that review? Now,
At 1 o'clock in the morning after 3 shots. Listen, Ashley. Listen. I got. When's a good time to respond to the review? As long as the angry ones, immediately. Like the good ones, sometimes depending on your team, for me, I don't immediately get right back to it. Like many other business owners are super busy with everything.
So let me clarify the immediately thing. I think there's 2 situations to when you would write immediately or maybe not. One of them, if that angers you, I would totally take a moment before.
Oh, well, but this is.
Yeah, we're talking about immediately.
This isn't even a question. Like, you're never going to be like, all right, here you go. Here's a great one. This is pretty short and sweet. Bad experience, called in advance and they told us one price. This is water sports. When we show up, completely different price. That's not how you were doing business. After reading some of the reviews here, we were very happy that we didn't pay them the asking price. Probably most of the 5-star reviews are fake. Your 5-star reviews are fake. Fat losers. Spelled loser. So they must have I don't know, beat him down on the price or something like that. Response from the owner. LOL, Steve. Get a new hobby, bud. Hi, public. Read his 55 1-star reviews. He leaves for companies. Loser. So that... Great sakes. Yeah, so that's actually really common, man. You will see people get, I've read a ton of reviews, man. You want to talk about what did I learn new this week? Dude, when season slows down, I'll go through and just go to people's reviews, because then it gives me an idea of what the customer base wants, especially my industry. I'll sit there and boringly read reviews, responses, and then say, okay, where's the hole? Where's this company doing it wrong? Where can we get it right? How can we, this is the best way to do customer research, rather than bringing them in a room and showing, some type of whatever you call that, TV show pilot test.
So the story you told me a couple weeks ago with the lady you kind of got into a little bit on Facebook. So at one point, did you reach out and get her on the phone or a direct message?
Oh, they left us a 1-star review on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah. So it brings me to one of my tips here is, don't be afraid to call the customer.
Absolutely.
And to just head on. And sometimes I would say roughly half the time in my experience, when I just called the customer, had one of our reservations, just call them and say, hey, let's just hash this out right now and figure it out, because chances are that customer will continue to harass your team for a week.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna continue to write bad reviews.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but I'll ask them, what do you want?
My money back.
I want money back. So if it's $100, $150, I look at the time of my staff dealing with them. The time of my staff dealing could be 500, meaning that now you're disrupting the flow of new bookings because I'm dealing with you, or you're writing or something on Better Business Bureau. Now I have to respond to that. That's time out of my VP's
and
time.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
If you're going to refund them, and that's usually my policy. If we're really going to like go down that road and we're phone calls and all this BS for whatever it is, man. And you know, here's my stock thing. If I'm going to get that neg off there, if I'm going to go for that 1 star, get them out of there, I go here. Hey guys, I'm really sorry about the experience. And this is on the back end. This isn't front face. This is on the back. I'm really sorry about that. We're totally in the wrong on this one. We really screwed up. I'm very sorry. Let me give you your money back. And you don't even have to amend the review. Leave it up there.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yep.
Don't feed a bear, because the bear is just going to keep coming back.
That's
so
right.
if you pay that person off, give them their refund and ask for that redo taken off, you're not setting a good precedence.
Yeah.
And it doesn't guarantee that they would keep the review.
So I've had this happen a few times. So I've approached it a couple. Also who I'm dealing with. So when I get like kids that like say they come out in jet skis and there's 4 of them, then I hear them bing, 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 and it was like damage to the jet ski, and they hit me with 4 1-star reviews, and so I called them up and it sucked, but you know, like, my guys weren't 100%, but my manager was like, no, they definitely did it. And then there was like some question as to what, you know, if they did it, what, you know, so whatever. So they hit me with 4 1-stars. I call them up and I go, look, I go, so let me guess. So basically, we don't charge you for the damage you did, and you'll take down is that what I'm like to understand? Because the whole entire conversation was a negotiation back and forth between him. You know, so it was like, this is how much we think you did. This is how much we're charging.
Do you think I mean, I think this is okay to ask them if the information in the review is not factual.
Well, they didn't. It was no review. It was just 4 1-stars. So I knew it. I knew what it was.
So, let's say the review was not factual, but some of it was. You ended up contacting them, refunding it. Do you think it's wrong to ask them to fix the review to make it as it was? Like,
it depends.
You're not asking them to remove it. You're saying
some people. Look, some people. It's just about the money. That's all it is. Oh, I'll give you a bad review unless you give my money back. It's just a negotiation tactic.
Yeah.
Other people are like, you know, it's some weird ethical, you know, stance, like, you know, the whole review thing. And like, I actually bought a parody TripAdvisor website name to combat that, like back in the day when I was still driving boats. I won't get into that, but you know, for some people, and this is what we said, we're going to do a GoFundMe to fund the site and build this whole like comprehensive social network against like combating fake reviews and have it for industry people. And we're like, look, you know, and this is, now I don't take this stance, but as an employee at the time, I'm like, I remember we were doing the video and our pitch was, I go like, sometimes the customer is not always right. And then my buddy Andy goes like, sometimes they're just being an asshole. And that's a fact. Sometimes people are just assholes. It doesn't matter. Like, I just, out of curiosity, before we did this, I was doing review research. And then I had a Yelper, and it was fairly fresh, and they gave me a 1-star review. And it was that same customer who came with us a year before and gave me a 5-star review. So it's like, and they're like, I can't believe the company didn't offer and this and this and this and that, and didn't, you know, reach out and blah, blah, blah. Well, nobody knew you were upset. Like, you know, did you tell my guys? Did you ask to speak to a manager? Did you want to get this resolved? Or did you just quietly walk away and then go, I want to hurt you? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to show the world, you know, it's like, so it depends on the intent. And you can, if you read enough of them, which I've done, you can actually read the intent. And real quick, never, ever, ever in your response, even if you did refund them and now you're pissed off because they didn't take the 1-star review down, never mention the R word in your response. Never go like, hey, I gave you a refund, or, oh, hey, give me a call, I'll give you a refund, because there's vultures out there and they see that and I mean, I've dealt with
I
them.
see a lot of businesses do this. They'll put in the manager response, call us and we'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's just setting you up.
Yeah, so what I will say, if I say, I'm sorry, if you reach out, we definitely want to try and remedy the situation.
Investigate it or do more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anything to say that, anything to show intent that you're going to refund them, that's just the,
you're opening up the door, because there are people out there that, what do you call them, like hyper couponers, you know what I mean? These guys are putting their car in neutral at the red light and save gas. Like, there's people are crazy pants out there, and you never know who you're getting. So the bad review, it's like, you have to kind of really treat it. You know, I know some people are just like, oh, I've got a 5-star. Like, I had that same mentality when I first started. 1-star review, I'd be like driving to their house, like to hold them and like coddle them, rub their head. I'm so sorry. I'll give you your money back. I'll do whatever you want. Please don't do that. So, and your tip there is, you look like you were looking for a tip there.
No, I was just going to say, just to kind of wrap that up, it's not unethical to, if you do remedy the situation with the refund, it's not a bad idea if there's unfactual information in the review to request that they update the review, not necessarily to say that there was a refund, but to update the review and let them know that, or remove the stuff that's not factual, especially things that are vulgar or just damaging in general, or mentioning people's names specifically. I don't like when my employees' names are mentioned specifically, or anything like that. So that's why I'm thinking, here's
a really good one. So I read a lot of reviews, and this dude who worked, some of these companies I know, and I know people there, so I don't want to like really mention like the company names or whatever. But all right, so here's the review. So we were told this was the best sunset cruise in Key West. The band played a preset, list no requests, margaritas made with Mountain Dew and 7-ounce beers. Very boring, not worth the money, shop around. They did have cheese, crackers, dip, and Cuban sliders, but this food should have been in the fridge, not on the back of the boat while we were boarding. Management response. Now, I didn't even read this. I just saw the guy who responded, and he's awesome at his responses. Thanks so much for choosing blank and for reviewing our blank live music sunset sale. We certainly wish you had a better experience on this popular sunset sale. We have some of the best bands on the island. While they will not always accommodate song requests, they do make sure the set list appeals to the masses and general public. So I'm going to address that first. This is like marketing magic right here. Like, you're saying great things about your trip. All right. Oh, we're one of the most popular things to do. We have some of the best bands. And, we do make sure the set appeals to the masses and general public. So they're basically selling themselves. Yeah. Like that's the first one. On this 2-hour sale, guests will enjoy unlimited water, soft drinks, beer, California wine, champagne, and margaritas. We serve hot and cold appetizers and have live bands play throughout the 2 hours. First catering platters will be placed out for the guests, and all hot food is kept in hot boxes and replenished throughout the trip. Again, we thank you so much for choosing blank and hope you have you aboard again soon. He just turned a fucking negative review into a commercial for their company.
Number 7, Greg's trip tips. Respond to good reviews and include creative ways to use it as a marketing tool.
That's right.
Those reviews are a marketing tool. They're very powerful. People, they're literally scared of bad reviews. If you are getting into business, you are getting into the realm where bad reviews are going to happen.
Yep.
They're going to happen. And so don't think about, I got a bad review, or I'm going to get bad reviews. Think about the percentage of them. Like, what are you comfortable with?
Yep.
Call it your KPI. I look at our reviews. When people actually make a reservation on TripShock, they immediately can review the experience, agents they talk to, and the reservation interface and the experience online.
And people miss that. Everyone misses that. They don't. People, and my guys, I have to tell them all the time. Like, this whole experience starts on the phone. Like, you don't understand. Like, that people are looking at the entire thing. It's not just the boat. It's not just what they're doing now, where they're going. It's everything.
So I look at a cumulative score of 90% or more 4- and 5-star reviews. That is my indicator. Once we start dipping below 90%, that's when I'm like, okay, something is not right. Like, we should
with your supplier partners.
No, this is just with people that review their TripShock booking experience. So that is I would suggest to anybody out there, don't worry about the one bad review. It's going to hit you hard. because we're very emotional people at times when it comes to the reviews. We're passionate about our service, but look at the larger picture and find a percentage that works for you. Maybe you're very stuck up on service and you want a 95% 4 and 5 star review. That's great, but set a number, and that way when you go below it, then you're like, okay, I can take action. But if you're at it or doing better, then I don't have to change everything.
Disney World's got, is that like 4.4 or something like that? Fucking Disney World, dude. Like you're a fucking, you fucking go to Disney World, like, I had a bad time. Like, fuck you, man. Like you're gonna go write a bad review about Disney World? I'll Jay and Silent Bob find out where you live, come to your house and kick your fucking ass, man. Cause I love Disney World. Greg's like, whoa, wait a minute, what just happened?
I don't know, like people get so emotional over the bad reviews. Listen, you're in business, you're going to get bad reviews. There's no question about it. But set that number that you're not comfortable with, and then that's when you start taking action within your team.
Listen, so I gotta tell you, this is funny. This is so serendipitous. 12:26 p.m. today. I'm sitting there. I'm with my daughter. She's doing homeschool. We're doing kindergarten or whatever. While we're doing kindergarten, she's taking her little thing online. I'm scrolling through reviews to bring to today's episode. I get a text from somebody. Kevin, meant to send this last week. I have no idea who this person is, but huge, and I have no idea how they have my personal number either. But huge thanks for setting me up with the jet ski. We had a great time with it. Your crew was awesome too, getting us set up. Thanks again. I mean, this is 100%, dude. I'm not making this up right now. This came through today. I said, awesome, exclamation part. Glad you guys had fun. If you haven't already, and I screwed up, it said, yeah, and screwed up my response, autocorrect. If you haven't already, say the same thing on Google. And then, what's that little triangle with the dot? Boop, boop, boop. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, so there's like a link that you can link to your, instead of saying, go to Google or Google Destiny Water Adventures and write us a great review. In the upper right hand corner, and I should have got this all down, there's like this 3 triangle thing. It's like a more than, like a V, like a side, like a more than, like a V on its side. Okay. And there's 3 little dots on it. If you click on that, it brings up a string of code, and it's a dot bit.ly, and then you can click on it, and then it'll bring you straight to the review section, and you can review. So instead of telling people to go give you a review, and if you're not doing this already,
that's a share icon.
Okay, yeah. Okay, there you go. The share icon. I guess that makes sense. Okay, so hit the share icon. I never knew what its name was, But anyway, yes, copy and paste that. Put that in an email form. You should have some type of review management software. 100%.
Yeah, on Greg's trip tips list.
I know it is.
Yeah, it is.
I know it is.
So let's talk about that. Which review platforms matter, and specifically what matter to water sports?
What matters the most?
Yeah.
Google, and nothing but Google. And
how many should a business worry about?
What's that?
I mean, how many? I mean, obviously there's 100 review sites out there. Like which ones should, like, if you had to pick 5? And I think obviously Google number 1.
Number 2. I mean, honestly, man, I see like moving toward the future. I remember, it was so funny today. I was going through and I'm like, where is this fucking review? I'm trying to find this hilarious review that I read from years ago. And I'm going through Google. I couldn't find it. And I was like, oh, it was on that shitty website, TripAdvisor. Oh yeah, let's go over there. I know, I'm really... Everybody's going to sue us. And I got to tell you, sidebar, to any of our super fans that listen to every single episode, I've kind of backtracked on the TripAdvisor thing. That was July. I was hot shit. We were selling out. I'm like, fuck TripAdvisor. But I was pretty harsh on the OTAs in that episode. And I mean, they do have their place, and we do care about our reputation on TripAdvisor. I think they're just losing a lot of juice. Now, there's a new program that Google's been testing where they're putting OTAs at the top of the page for your paid search results. I know they've been experimenting with it within the EU. I don't know how much traction that's going to gain here in the States. So if I had to do top 5, I would say Google, TripAdvisor. I mean, I hate Yelpers, man. Like, I just despise Yelp. Like, I don't even manage
Yelp's
Yelp.
The worst.
It is absolutely the worst.
I have partners that are phenomenal. They just, every year they just do a great job, and their reviews on TripShock are phenomenal. Google's phenomenal. You go to Yelp and they're like a 2 out of 5, and they got 50 horrible reviews. It doesn't make any sense, because when it comes to Yelp, these are people that specifically are upset. Yeah. It's not like with TripShock, you cannot leave a review unless you go on that tour.
Yeah.
Which is great, because you're only getting the customers that went there, and not the ones that, are the one-offs that were pissed off. So everybody's reviews on TripShock are phenomenal, because we know that if they go on it and you solicit them, well, because we actually send a text message and we send an email to people. So we're getting a really high take rate on the reviews. But if you can't have a 4.5-star rating on TripShock, then something is very wrong, because everyone on there is doing really good, because we're getting people to actually participate. Most businesses are doing a good job.
Now I'm gonna get you. Now I'm coming after you. So, all right. So because and I'm wrong sometimes. And that lady I was wrong about for sure. And the one that got me, the one that came after me, because she was one of your guys. And as a general rule, that old Betsy, man, she's a good boat, but the vinyl started going on it. And that is just the death nail, dude. That thing could have a 250 on the back of it. I mean, there could be like a stripper pole on it and a free buffet. But once they see the vinyl going and the cushion starting to come through, so the problem is like the vinyl started going, I basically would have had to cancel 15, 20 reservations to pull the boat long enough to get the vinyl redone. So now I'm like stuck with it, and I'm like patching it together, and it's an embarrassing boat. And I ended up taking it out of my fleet altogether. Because I'm super brand conscious, and I do care about our customers' experience, and we do have a reputation for having nice stuff and great customer service. That's always been our hook. New boats, nice boats, great customer service. And our customers come expecting that. So getting into the year 3 and like growing the way we have, some things kind of went under the radar, some things started to fall apart, and we couldn't like get to it. And, this season we're going to be replacing those things and rolling back out with our new fleet and getting back to what it is, what we do. So, but with COVID and everything the way it was just like I couldn't get to it. So customer comes on the boat. She's a TripShock customer. So I'm like, well, 90% of my TripShock customers are commodity based. So they're looking for the lowest price or whatever is left, or, they'll take whatever they can get. So I'm not saying I always go TripShock customers, but I'm looking at the schedule. I'm like, what do we got? And they're like, what do we got left? We got Ruby Red or Boat 8, whatever it is. And I was like, what do you got there? I'm like, oh, throw a TripShock customer on there. It's fine. They'll be fine. 9 out of 10, they want to go to Crab Island. So they don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, she gave a shit. She cared. She was like, we picked your company because it said you had new boats. And I was like, oh my God, I screwed this up so bad. And I felt terrible, and I was completely wrong. So, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like I throw the dogs to the OTAs all the time. So TripShock does matter to me. It does. It truly does. My reputation across the board matters to me in the biggest way. Like when you look across the board, Facebook. So to get back to your original question, I would say, so here you go again. So here's another thing. Like, it's like, if I know that we're converting from Facebook, like if I know they're a Facebook customer, they might have got Ruby. But now I'm not saying that I'm providing a subpar experience, but again, you're asking this question. So in order of importance, like what am I really focused on? Google number 1, maybe TripShock and Facebook toggle for me. You know what I mean? Because now we're not even doing stars on Facebook anyone. You either recommend or you don't recommend. So yeah,
and let's just strictly, and you can put all resellers and OTAs in one bubble, because for me, if I'm a business, and every destination is going to be different, because like in Europe,
TripShock wasn't like that though. They weren't like, they had that reputation for being organic, so it's tough. So it's like this, you might have this organic TripAdvisor customer that's just like an actual TripAdvisor, like that, like we talked about in episode 3 or whatever it was, like that diehard, like we want the best, and they're still using TripAdvisor like we used to, some people still do. So it's like, yeah, TripAdvisor is like, I don't believe they carry that weight like they used to. I just put them in the same line as like, and I think everybody's starting to see it now. It's like, well, this isn't about the best anymore now. It's just about whoever's paying them the most. You can't trust their reviews like you used to. So TripAdvisor's kind of fell one. So I would say probably Google, Facebook, specifically TripAdvisor, if we're using them, and then the resellers. Well, I mean, you're my only other reseller.
The thing is,
sorry,
like, yeah. So, Kevin and I might have a different opinion on which ones to use, but I'm pretty much 90% on board. I say Google, Facebook, TripAdvisor. I understand Yelp is going out, but you still have to get on there. I mean, I still recommend.
Can I sidebar? With a bad review that I got on Yelp?
Yeah,
it's really good.
Real quick.
Do your thing. I'm sorry.
And then you should always respond. If you're using Expedia or TripAdvisor, you should be responding to all your reviews on the OTAs. Because, hey, I mean, when we see our partners responding to reviews, that kind of plays in our manual algorithm of how we want to place. As an OTA, we want to work with partners that care a lot about.
Dude, I got to keep up with them. We've been getting so many from you guys. All 1, 2 stars. Fucking did. No, I'm kidding. It's mostly, I think we got.
You have like almost 200 reviews and they're all 4 and 5 stars.
Yeah.
Mostly 5 stars.
And I'll tell you what, man, like that is 100% service. Because we do got, and I mean, like we've had issues where, they're boat rentals. They're going to break.
Yeah.
Where stuff has went down and my team just absolutely saved it, man. Like, this happened. If somebody gives us honest review and say, this happened or whatever, but man, so-and-so is so great. Such a, service that ties in so strong. And like, man, we've gotten so many, dude. Like, I'm so far behind. It's ridiculous. Like, it's going to take me all of October to catch up. Like, even we've gotten some of our first bad, 1-star reviews we've ever gotten in 3 years.
So I'm going to throw a curveball at you. What about Bing? Because they have a local business.
Yeah, I know. It's on the whiteboard at home.
So the reason why Bing might be important is because
the demographic.
Mm-hmm.
Gam.
Yeah,
I don't like you. It's like an older crowd.
My mother and my grandmother use Bing.
Yeah,
they use it in Explorer 8, and they use Bing.
We're gonna sidebar that we're gonna have a Bing conversation, straight Bing. We're gonna talk about Bing because a lot of people don't know, but Bing comes as the default search engine.
Yeah, for Edge and Explorer. Yeah.
So I gotta. I got 2 really good ones, man. I don't know if I want to because they're long, but they're good. All right. Oh God, what do I do? All right, I'm gonna do this one because it's fun. This lady nailed me, dude. This lady, she got the boat I'm telling you about, the red one, which is it's getting retired, becoming my chase boat. I'm done with it. So, because it's not even that bad of a boat. It just needs new vinyl, man. Like when we first got it, everyone loved it, dude. Like it's like lightweight, 6-7 people on it, dude. They love it. The thing cruises along, man. It's just, I don't know, but the vinyl went and I'm so embarrassed of that damn boat. I took it off the schedule. Anyway, so she gets this boat. This lady has like a death wish for me. All right. Let's put it this way. I'm giving 1 star only because the pontoon boat engine actually started. I will put it as simple as possible. Do not give these arrogant, useless, idiotic crooks your business. Days prior, I found a Groupon. Oh, there it is. That's right. She got that boat. I think she was a Groupon customer. And the booking calendar was not working. I don't know what it was. Whatever. I then skimmed the ad and found the name and number of the place. So I called, and what do you know? I received a message saying this number is temporarily disconnected. I have no idea what she was talking about. I figured they went out of business and looked elsewhere. Close to our excursion date, another rental place that was booked gave me the name and exact same number to the place that I called earlier that week. It rang and they answered, giving us the regular rate, of course. Not the Groupon price, which is the exact same rate. We went ahead and reserved the boat. When I arrived, I confronted the kid manager, and he said that his boss changed the number. I said, what a coincidence. It was changed during the week when you have lots of boats left at a discounted price, but is now back on when they are all booked up at regular price. Not to mention, it's the same number. Interesting. I was so confused by this review. I left it alone and started to make my way to the boat. When I started to make my way to the boat, he yelled at the guy bringing the boat around and said, give them the red one. We automatically assumed the red one was a shithole. correct assumption. Sure enough, it was the worst boat in the water. The horn didn't work. So this is before the vinyl worked. The boat wasn't even that bad. Like the horn wasn't working. So we had to use a whistle that hadn't been cleaned. I'm sure since the boat was purchased back in 1947. I'll have you know that boat was purchased in 1967. 30 years before I was born. Well, 10 years before I was born. The engine didn't go very fast at all. In fact, it cut into our chill time at Crab Island. It cost us 45 minutes to get there and 45 minutes to get back, when it normally takes about half the time. I guess distance has no matter where you're coming from, 20 minutes to get to Crab Island, period. Yeah. Space and time opens up, fucking hole straight to Crab Island. I approached the kid manager about that upon arrival, and he said, well, you rented last minute. I don't know what Chance is thinking. I rented last minute because you crooks didn't want to honor your Groupon. Not only that, if you didn't have a fully functioning boat, then you shouldn't have rented it out at full price at that. Moral of this story is, do not rent anything from Destiny Water Adventures. So she went on a campaign.
I had no idea you even ran a Groupon.
I didn't.
You didn't run a Groupon?
No, because they're partnered with Viator. Yeah, so it was on Groupon, dude. Like, and everyone assumes they're getting it for half price. So I don't even know who this lady was.
Do you know what I was on Groupon the other day, and it showed a product that doesn't exist anymore. It showed a product available with a price, and it said no longer available.
Right.
But they had the old price from 3 years ago. So then you click over to the website. Shit show, yeah. I mean, they really got to do something about that.
So, hey, these people, because I called them because they went on a campaign. They were just they're on our way home back to Texas, DJ Castro. Dude, man. And remember, folks, everything is you can be found. Just remember that. So when you go and put somebody on blast, I might wait a year, but I'm going to find you. I'm going to find where you work, and I'm going to leave you a bad review. You know what I mean? Turnabout is fair play, my friend. I got a list. I got like Steve Buscemi where he puts on the lipstick and had him sandwich. I'm glad Billy Madison. He shoots the guy. Man, I'm glad I called that guy. I'm Steve Buscemi with the list with your fucking name on it. I don't forget. I remember DJ Castro because I went on a hunt, So I'm like, oh shit, man. They put it on Facebook. They put it on TripAdvisor. They put it on Google. So I called this guy up and I'm like, look, man, I am so sorry. I have no idea what happened. I'm just being made aware of this. That boat is not, it's not a brand new boat. It is a 2012. It's got a 50 horsepower. It's a 10 passenger. So it moves as fast as a 24-foot, 12 passenger boat with a 60 on the back of it. This boat there's nothing wrong with it other than the horn doesn't work, but you don't need a horn. You need any type of sound making device according to the law. So anyway, I didn't go into that. I just apologized. And I said, look, man, you guys are trying to destroy my business, it seems like. And over a simple misunderstanding because you feel like the boat should have gone faster and you should have gone Crab Island quicker. Now, I don't know where you went rent from last time, but you could have rented from Destin Harbor and been 100 yards away from Crab Island, but you were 4 miles away from Crab Island. So I can't address any of this because you're clearly insane if this is what you're going through because of a slow boat.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, man, the thing is that I had that whole thing written up, man, and then I deleted it. So my wife had to recount the entire back to me so I could rewrite it. I made her drive the car so I could write that review. And, I couldn't believe I lost it, that it got erased and deleted somehow. So, I had to dictate it to her while she wrote it. I can't remember what it was, but I mean, this was a fucking a hell of a lot of an effort to give me. And I'm like, oh, clearly you guys are insane. I'm just and the one part of me, I swear to God, when he said that, it took everything I had to go, oh, are you suffering from PTSD? Is there something I can do to help? It's really what I wanted to say. But I just apologized. I said, look, man, I really didn't mean to ruin your guys' vacation. I'm sorry. Apparently this really affected them. I mean, I'm sorry. Some people are just absolutely bananas. That you would spend your drive home, 5 days later, thinking about this, rewriting it, editing it, posting it on multiple sites.
So how do you feel about these review services where once the customer takes the boat out or does a tour with you, right? Any business, when they purchase something, it sends a email asking how it was. And when you do a 1 or 2 star, instead of directing them to Google or any other review sites, it ask you more questions. What happened? And then it sends that form to your team. It's called Bird Eye. I don't use Bird Eye. I'm not endorsing it, but it stops it off. So you're smiling like you do something already.
Of course I do that.
Yeah. So
I disabled the Fair Harbor automatic because I'll go through and delete their contacts because I'll be like, angry person. Delete their email. No automation for you. So I won't even. So when I put together my CSV, my list, they're not even in there.
Yeah,
gone. And so I don't even have to deal with it. If you have like some kind of complaint or you came back and complained about something to one of my guys, it's not that I don't want to like make things right, because we always say the same thing. Shoot me an email. And then either I'll respond to that email, I'll give some time to like, be very, want to make them happy or whatever. But
the good thing is that you should have these services in play. You should not be, especially for your direct business, you should not be sending just a willy-nilly review email.
100%. Yeah.
And like with our software WaveRes, I just tell people if you have a really bad experience with somebody, because there are automatic review invites, just their email in the comments and replace the email with like a company email, because you don't need to be sending them something. You're just setting the table for a lot of bad reviews, because it's just, if they're mad, they're going to find a way to write the review regardless.
So it's not review management.
Don't enable them.
Review management software. So if you just Google review manager, there's a lot of different ones that you can get. But to be honest, like you need to get this feedback from people. You really do, because like nobody's perfect. You can been in the game for 20 years and there's be this gaping hole that you don't know about where your service sucks. I call it the Amazon culture. Yeah. People are so used to getting what they want when they want it. And if they're unhappy, they get their money back. And like Amazon, Walmart, like Greg, I don't even really charge for damages. I don't. It's like if it's something insane, yes. But if it's minor, like, it sucks to eat it, but at the end of the day, the customer's like, man, I'm so sorry, accidents happen. You know what I mean? No big deal. I'm going to go fix it myself or have one of my guys do it for a nominal fee, and I chalk it up to the price of doing business. So I look at that at the end of the year, and I go, okay, well, next year, I'm going to bake this into my price. So you should be able to be able to look at some of this stuff that you're doing, and really, we should do another episode on how to set price, because I don't think a lot of people think about that.
9 out of 10 times when you try to get money for damages, it's a shit show.
Listen, I know guys who got investigated by the government because, listen, I'm not going to get into it, but it's just like, they were doing it like their guides were, I can't remember, like they were trying to combat it. There was so much damages happening. None of the guys were looking at it. And this is how this whole birth of like collecting for that happened. But what happened was this guy, they would incentivize them. So I remember I was working at a scooter rental place in Key West, and they were like, hey man, if the thing comes back with damages, you get 50% of the damage cost. So, what is that going to start? You're incentivizing people to basically commit fraud. Oh yeah, man, you can fucking nobody checks that.
But in the 3 years in Orange Beach, we probably had maybe 10 incidents. Where we collected, and 8 of those 10, we had to really pull the money out of these people, and looking back at it, I would rather build it in my budget, build it in my budget. Like every month, $500 in damages, that's just going to happen. And so that way I can plan for it.
And but to wait again, so this is this is how I kind of started approaching damages, because when I started looking at all the negative reviews about some of my competitors in this region, that was their number one thing.
Damages, and then they argued about who was right and who was wrong about it.
Correct. So, but that 4.4, that 4.9, man, there is monetary value in those little points. Like people look at that and they're going, I don't know about you, but I know I'll pay more for a better service and a better product every single time. And that's where we're getting into right now, is like people are looking at that and going like, yeah, so you can actually, like, your reputation can add and does add value to your products, like actual value, like in dollars and cents or credit cards.
And we got to wrap it up here. We're about.
I'm going to finish up my last one. Okay. It's my favorite review, and I looked high and low to get it.
Okay. I'll just make one comment. I'm not going to spit off a bunch of statistics, but if you have a moment, Google, reputation management or tips on writing review responses. Any of those keywords will bring up a lot of great articles, but you should look at some of the data behind responding to reviews or having good review and good reputation management, it is profound. Like one of the statistics was like 90% of people before they book, they read reviews. I mean, just if you look at that number alone, it's just substantial. People are reading them before, and I'll just leave you with that. But go on there, look at statistics. Once you get done, you're going to be like, why have I never taken this serious?
I'm going to, a couple final thoughts before my last final review read is that personalize your responses. And it's so important. Use their first name. I mean, when you look at Google, like the search, like it's got like commonly mentioned, my name is one of them. So on TripAdvisor, Kevin. Like I have people who are like, oh, it's Kevin. Hey, Kevin. Because I take a lot of phone calls. I talk to a lot of people. I got Facebook videos and all this stuff. So like people read this stuff. So personalize it because it's personal for them. Like this might be your 1 billionth time, but it's still their first time. And so they go out, they might only have one review that they've ever written, and that's for your company. And you have to. They took the time to sing your praises. You have to take at least an equal amount of time or hire somebody that's great with a pen, you know, that can capture your voice and capture your gratitude to them or your regret if it's a negative one, and make sure that you're actually having a genuine conversation with those people. I will tell you 100 times over the two biggest things I look at: non-response and stock response. And that I see as the highest form of just like, thanks, we got your money, see you later. Like, and I think that's a huge problem with our industry and travel in general. Is once people are like, oh, got your money, never going to see you again.
Real quick, should you put your reviews on your website, like a review widget?
Absolutely, 100%. I'm sorry, I take that as common sense.
Now, with the exception
social
proof. With the exception of maybe TripAdvisor, because basically, usually they put the link to your TripAdvisor review, which I have a big problem with. You would, because if you're selling on TripAdvisor, now you're leading the person off your website into
get them some
an OTA funnel.
Sweet organic juice power, baby. Look how many backlinks we've got, 10 bazillion. If I ever sell Destiny, I'm gonna set like an atomic bomb. I'm just gonna throw all these like TripAdvisor backlinks on there and then make it like a gambling site or porno site or something, you know what I mean? Like give them some real nasty negative, like scrape links.
So definitely use those review widgets. Google has them. There's plugins on WordPress where you can feed in your Google reviews. But yeah, definitely use them. Social proof.
So we're gonna finish off with this, man. This is a friend of mine, and he's a jet ski tour guide and a DJ on the Sunset trip. Okay. And so people like when they're doing multiple trips with what might encounter him twice. Really nice guy. I have no idea what he did to piss this guy off. I personally think it was a friend of his. Okay. This is good. If you're hating life and looking for a terrible time, DJ Maestro at Blank Watersports can provide, and only for $120, no tips required. Sunburned and hungover, DJ Maestro was my instructor on a jet ski tour around Key West. Maestro's ego, fueled by his many conquests of Key West swinging seniors, often create awkward encounters if you aren't hugging him on every turn of the jet ski tour. On scheduled stops, the Maestro will scold you for not keeping up, forcing him to delay his life by 10 seconds. While Blank Watersports advertises that you get to go around the whole island, Maestro's tour just takes you to the real-world house and back. Unfortunately, I purchased a Sunset cruise prior to the jet ski tour and had to continue my patronage of the business. Guess who was the DJ on the cruise? Yep, the conch Smith himself, DJ Maestro. While Maestro is not much of a jet ski tour leader, his DJ skills are top-notch, playing such hits as La Macarena, Hey Macarena, Cotton Eye Joe, and several Nickelback favorites. The Maestro knows music that will get your feet flying and arms waving in the air. The ladies were mesmerized by Maestro's music selection skills, and it was apparent their sunset cruise would not end on this bow. Insider tip, make sure to have proper protection, as Maestro has been known to spread an uncomfortable burning sensation known as Keys disease.
What was the response?
None. How could you respond to that? My response, I swear to God, I'd be like, dude, you're fucking awesome. I will offer you a free sunset cruise to come read that on our next sunset cruise. But yeah, DJ Maestro, actually a super, super nice guy. His name's Dan, man. I think it was his friend that actually wrote that, like just to bust his balls. I've done it to my friends too, but I gave 5-star reviews. And whatever you do, oh my God, never, ever, ever, ever try to pad your reviews by giving yourself 5-star fake reviews.
Yeah.
Google will fucking,
you know what's even worse?
Slaughter you.
If people are smart, they give a 5-star review and make a horrible review. 5-star rating. Have you ever seen this happen?
Mm-mm.
People do this specifically. They'll give you, because a lot of companies, they will feature the 4 and 5-star reviews through the widgets. So they will, they will do 4 and 5-star ratings because they know they will be featured.
And then
then they slam you.
Yeah. So, and again.
And they specifically put it in there. Like, I gave this a 5-star rating to make sure as many people see this, but this is yada, yada, yada. And it's just, I've seen it on Trip Shock.
Yeah.
And we saw how they were doing it. And we made it.
And I've seen them. I've looked at reviews and I can spot, you know what I mean? Like, you can really spot like fake reviews. Anybody who's ever thought about doing that and padding their reviews with 5-star reviews, if you get caught doing that, and first of all, if you do it on TripAdvisor, you will get red flagged. You will get fucking banned. If you do it on Google, man, Google, if they see you doing that, they'll erase every single review you've ever had and start your GMB back to 0. So for anybody that's thinking that they're going to game the system, just remember, nobody's smarter than Google. And I think that's it. That wraps it up, don't we?
That's the perfect way to end it.
Oh man, I got so many other good reviews I want to read. I love them. If you ever get some chance, go check out. I'll tell you. I don't want to mention. So, anyway, thanks for checking out the Awkward Water Sports Guys tour. We hope you guys like it. For myself, Kevin O'Neill, and Greg my main Fisher. Water sports hombre over here, Greg Fisher. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
See ya.
You've been listening to the Awkward Water Sport Guys podcast. If you're in the water sport industry, this is the podcast that brings the business perspective to parasailing, jet and ski boat rentals, sailing, snorkeling, and everything else. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. Be sure to sign up to our email list at watersportpodcast.com and subscribe in your favorite podcast app. We'll see you next time, and thanks for listening.